Going into Antarctica, it will crush you if you go into it not believing that you own it. I just didn't feel great that day. Really, really missed Vogue. I'm not getting to share it with the person I love most. Grim swim, really bad bike, and then, a marathon on top at the end, which, however you cut it, isn't great. But it doesn't take long for your mind to come round to the fact that actually this is just the reality that you're in today and this is happening. Get on board and get a grip, or, it's just going to be hell all day.
Spencer, welcome back to UNTAPPED. You're now 5 triathlons into the 7. How are you feeling?
You know what? It's I feel better than I thought I would. The time traveling, which is how I describe it, is pretty. It's quite intense. We're now in Rio, 15-hour flight direct from Dubai, which is great. Got a bit of sleep on that. But you know what? The body is an extraordinary thing. It's amazing what it can put up with. If you push it, if you push your limits and you push how far you think you can go, particularly if you don't allow yourself to feel like it's finished, it's pretty amazing. Like my body is in good order. Of course, I'm tired. Like, I'm not looking forward to tomorrow's Rio Iron, to be honest, because it is, all of them now, the highs and lows are becoming more just lows. You know what I mean? Because it's quite a lot of exertion on the body, and it's pretty soul destroying, to be honest. One thing I'm taking away from this as a lesson is that when you push yourself really hard, you can go so much further than you think you can. There was a lot of question marks about this challenge for me. I remember sitting in London being really nervous the night before the first one. I could barely sleep. Because I didn't actually know that I'd be able to string those 3 things together in a day, right? It was a first for me. Now that I'm on the 6th, I know I can do it, but it's quite gut-wrenching, the idea of having to go back into that sea. I can see where I'm starting the swim. Like, it's really rough out there today, like big waves. It's really rough. I can see it from my hotel room. If that's like that tomorrow morning, the swim could take me a couple of hours, could take longer. It's a big toll. It takes a toll. I'll sleep for days when I'm done with this. Like genuinely, I'll come home and just go to bed and probably won't come out for 3 days.
Let's take it back to the last time that we caught up with you. I think you were just leaving Cape Town then for a pretty long flight over to Perth. How was that travel experience? I'm sure that jet lag was pretty nasty.
Jet lag isn't so much a thing for us because the triathlons won't wait for us. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like you're doing them regardless of whether you sleep or not. So we basically sleep when we can, and if that's during the day, then that's during the day, and you bank the time. 2 of these I've done on 0 sleep. So no sleep at all the night leading up to the 5 a.m. start. But I did manage to bank a sleep that day type thing. But, I'm basically sleeping when I feel tired, wherever that might be, in a car or on a plane or wherever, hotel lobby, on the floor at the airport. The floor at the airport is my new favorite thing. So because we've got so many bags, we get there really early. So usually we've got like 3 hours before we have to board. Even the lads with the camera kit have to do something called a carnet, which takes about an hour with the camera kit and stuff. So I get to the gate really early and just lay down on the floor, flat on the floor, and usually bank like a couple of hours kip, then get on the flight. But no, so Cape Town was a really punishing experience, like a really hard day out. Grim swim, really bad bike, and then a marathon on top at the end, which, however you cut it, isn't great. So pretty happy to leave there. We were rewarded with Perth. Perth was like the opposite, nice and flat. The swim was piping hot in comparison. Bull sharks spotted all over the place apparently in where I was swimming. So I did a story on Instagram because a big great white was spotted in, I think it's called, forgive me Australians if I'm wrong with it, I think it's Costello Bay, where we were supposed to swim. Big great white shark spotted there that day. I later found out that I would have been in a netted area, so I would have been probably fine, although pretty sure a shark could tear through a net if it fancied it. But anyway, that's not why we moved. Chris moved the location anyway into what sounded like a much better bet, which is this kind of bottlenecked kind of harbor sort of thing where, people go sailing and whatever right in front of the hotel. Really calm, really warm water, completely pleasant, lovely way to kick off the day. Stayed really close to the shore. And on the cycle afterwards, which was amazing as well, we bumped into some Scottish guy, and I won't bother trying to do his accent, but really thick Glaswegian accent. And he was like, "Where did you swim?" So there you go. I've done the accent. He goes, "Where did you swim?" And we showed him a picture, and he goes, no. He goes, you're crazy. And he basically said that is full of bull sharks. His mate works there. You should never swim there. I was like, okay, well, done now anyway. So great, good. Didn't get attacked by a bull shark. But no, anyway, so all of the kind of dangerous swims are done, if you will, which is nice. And yeah, Perth was good. Then we, lapped a couple of long, big laps of a kind of water base that they have out there, running straight past the stadium where they were playing the Ashes. I don't think they quite got the results that they were after that day, but we were kind of unaware of that. I did have to lap it twice, so I was literally in the stadium, basically just on the outskirts of the stadium, and I could hear all the shouting and screaming the first time, and it was kind of done by the time I went around again.
Have you invested in some new running shoes recently? Maybe even made sure that you've got all of the best socks and the right shorts and all the good kit? Those things can help. But have you ever thought about how much your mattress could be holding back your recovery? Sleep is by far the most powerful recovery tool you have. It affects everything: your energy, your focus, your muscle repair, even how motivated you feel to train the following day. If you're serious about your performance, improving your sleep should be a part of your training plan. And that's where Simba can really help. Simba's hybrid mattress design is built using the sleep data of over 10 million people, combining titanium alloy aero-coil springs with Simbatex foam to keep you cool, supported, and undisturbed throughout the night. It's designed to prevent overheating, minimize partner movement, and give your body the support that it needs to truly recover. They've earned over 100 sleep awards, including 6 Which Best Buys, and expanded their range with adjustable hybrid pillows and temperature-regulating duvets. Everything you need for a complete recovery. You can try it risk-free with free next-day delivery and a 10-year guarantee. If it's not right for you, Simba will just collect it, no questions asked. Because recovery doesn't just happen in the gym. It starts with how well you sleep. Shop now at simbasleep.com/untapped. On this show, we talk a lot about energy, not just having it, but how you use it. And one thing I've learned from the world of endurance sport is that energy isn't something you waste. It's something you master. Hive brings that same mindset into your home, putting you in control of your energy every single day. Everyone knows them for their smart thermostats, but Hive has evolved into something greater, eco-tech that helps generate, manage, and use cleaner energy. And with solar, you can get the sun to work for you, turning sunlight from your roof into greener energy. It's about generating your own power, helping to lower bills, and creating the freedom to live life on your terms. And with the Hive app, you have the power to track, manage, and optimize your energy in one place. Clear, simple, and built around you. And here's the best part. Anything you don't use, you can sell back to the grid, meaning you'll get energy companies to pay you. Hive puts that power directly in your hands. Your home, your energy, and your future. Hive. Know your power. Visit hivehome.com to find out more. Subject to survey and suitability, output varies by season and may not cover all electricity usage. Paid for surplus requires an eligible SEG tariff. Savings vary by home and usage.
Now that you are 5 in, 2 to go, do you sort of feel that your body's slowly getting used to it, or are you still finding yourself hating every moment?
I'm more comfortable now than I was at the start, I think. Yeah. So there is definitely an element of your body adapting to, certain activities that perhaps you weren't used to before. I'm certainly a much better swimmer now than I was on day one. far faster in the water. Like it's noticeable even to me, when I'm in the water. I've kind of figured out ways of compartmentalizing each race. So like I've worked out ways of breaking it down that work better than the first time I was doing it. I found specific music that works better for me on the bike than on the run. And then the run was wild in Dubai. We got joined by a group of lads, like really fit lads, like in proper shape, like no animals. Like, and they were really a couple of them are involved with a kind of wellness retreat over there called Rejuvenate. Who were very kind to us. They welcomed us in and gave us like sports massages and hot and cold therapy, and they've got all kinds of amazing stuff in there. To be honest, it's really, really cool, really cool. And then Sean Clancy, one of the owners of that, came on the run, ran his first marathon with me. But the guy's in like extraordinary nick, like he does a sub 60-minute high rocks and all kinds of stuff. And then he brought some of his pals along, and it was like the moving time of that marathon was 3 hours and 33 minutes.
That's quick.
Yeah, no, it's quite fast. We did take breaks. So there is a difference between moving time and activity time. The activity time was like 4:12, I think. So even including the breaks that we took with like food and coffee and gels and whatever it would be, where we actually sat down and just recuperated, the full time was 4:12. So we sat 4 times and had 4 proper breaks, right? And the moving time and the activity time was still 4:12. So we were running like 4:40s, which is, I think, at the end of an Ironman, like pretty good going. I'm not a professional athlete, but they really carried me through that. And it was almost like a pressure situation where like I had to run fast because like they'd come out to the desert and like I set off quite slowly, and they were like, I could feel that the pace was just kind of increasing. And I was like, I could just dig my heels in here and say, hey guys, like we're going to take it really slowly, or I could just like grip in and run with these guys. And that's what we did. And no, it was actually an amazing experience. We lapped this loop, which was exactly 10K. So we did 12K to start, and then, had a bit of a break, and then 3 sets of 10K. But the 3 sets of 10K were like, you wouldn't be going much faster if you were just running 10K as a training loop in Battersea Park type thing. It was quite full on. So I'll probably lift my foot off the gas a bit here in Rio tomorrow for the marathon, just because I felt pretty banged up at the end of all that. It was there was a few aches and pains and stuff, but ultimately I feel pretty good, mate. I haven't really given failure any thought. And I was thinking about this earlier. The thing that will crush a challenge like this is your mindset. And I know it's a bit of a boring, like people talk about mindset and how can you, mindset this, mindset that. And it's like, I think having a positive attitude to this as a challenge is probably as important as being fit, right? And obviously, being able to pack the kilometers into the legs and the arms and stuff, it is important, but I think, we have a deep desire to succeed. And, Tom Beard, the director of the film that we're making, asked me about, failing. And I literally just said, I haven't thought about that as a possibility once. It hasn't even entered my mind that we might fail or might not finish this. I think that makes a massive difference. Like when you wake up at 4 a.m. and you don't feel like doing it, but you get out there and you do it anyway, it doesn't take long for your mind to come round to the fact that actually this is just the reality that you're in today, and this is happening. Get on board and get a grip, or it's just going to be hell all day. You have a choice. You can try and turn it into a positive thing. I'm in Rio. I get to do an Ironman today in Rio. What an incredible experience. I'll remember this for the rest of my life. I'm doing it with my pals. I'll fire a message off into my family group at the end of it saying, we've done it. We're one step closer. That as a mentality gets you through stuff. Sitting on the bike with 180K ahead of you, in the piping hot heat, thinking, I feel crushed by this experience. I'm not sure I can do it. I'm not sure I'm the man for this today. It is a waste of like emotional energy, and it you have to do your absolute best to avoid that at all costs. And it happens in every single race, by the way. In every single one of the 5 that I've done, there have been very serious moments of kind of crushing lowness where you just feel like, not like giving up, because that's not really an option. Like, I haven't given myself that as an option, but it's kind of, you sit there and you just go, I can't quite believe what I've got myself into. And you have to be positive. I'd go so far as to say the mindset piece in this is probably more important than the fitness element.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, just to sort of pick that up, I saw on your story, you said that you were in quite a negative headspace going into Dubai. I suppose, firstly, why was that? And how did you get through it? Was it these guys turning up and joining you? Or was it, like you just said, just sort of getting on with it and you start to feel better later?
No, I literally had to grip it and rip it. Like, I wasn't happy at all. I wasn't happy at all at the moment. Like I woke up, didn't sleep very well, just pretty depleted, mate. Obviously, it was the fifth Ironman in 11 days or whatever it was at the time. And I just didn't feel great that day. Wasn't very happy. Really, really missed Vogue and the kids that day. I was like in a bit of a pit with it all because I'm not able to share my highs and lows with her. Like, she's my best friend, and I really love her, and obviously she's doing her own thing, and it's kind of, I would love to be able to call her every day and just tell her like what I'm experiencing and hear what she's experiencing, and just like have these awesome conversations that obviously a happily married couple would have on a daily basis. We also talk a lot, like we're that annoying couple that is always in touch. Like, we work together, like we're literally like always in touch. So to have it like, to just have a complete block on communication is really weird. We've not spoken like this in since we've known each other. So in the 9 years that we've known each other, we've never had this long of not communicating. Obviously last year I was away for 30 days as well, but we could communicate every day, so it was different. So yeah, I really, really miss her. And it's just, that day, it weighed on me quite heavily that, I'm out here doing what I deem to be this really like awesome, extraordinary thing, but like I'm not getting to share it with, with the person I love most. And obviously we'll get to see each other soon and we'll recap everything and it'll be great. But I just miss her, I suppose, a long-winded way of saying that I really miss her. I get to FaceTime the kids and stuff, and they're delighted, by the way, with us. They're like having the time of their lives. I think Nanny Jane and Grandpa David and Nanny Sandra and Grandpa Neil are being pretty lenient with TV time, etc. So they're having the time of their lives. The kids, they seem so happy, and I'm delighted to see them that way. But I feel a bit sad when I think about Vogue because I miss her. So yeah, I don't know, mate. You've got two choices really. When you're in that kind of state, you can make an active decision to literally rid yourself of those feelings, and make a conscious effort to think positively and drive positive thoughts into your head. Put your headphones in, blast a song that you love, smile, physically make an effort to smile, like watch, just like spend some time in your own head in a positive way. Think about things that you love, and dive into the water, in my case. And as soon as I got in the water, things cleared up. You're not allowed to swim in that lagoon in Dubai. We got clearance, so it was kind of one of those cool moments where you kind of know that I don't know, I'm sure they've probably given clearance to other people. I didn't ask, but it's not a regular thing. You can see the Burj Khalifa or Burj Al Arab, or whichever one it is, like in the distance. And the sun's slowly coming up. So ordinarily we start the swim in the dark, and then it gradually gets lighter. So sometimes I have these incredible sunrises that are coming up, like as you're swimming, which obviously is a sight to behold. And obviously there's no threat from rabid seals or sharks or any wildlife, so you can really relax. And it was very peaceful, actually. And again, I found myself feeling just privileged, right? Like happy and great that I'm the guy that gets to experience this, and it was also, not to get too deep on it, but it was just, it doesn't take long to realize that whatever pain you're feeling or whatever you're suffering in that moment, it is nowhere near as bad as what the men in suicidal crisis are currently facing, who we're looking to help, right? We are looking to raise funds for James's Place. We're looking to raise awareness for James's Place to save lives, to save men in suicidal crisis. And I can guarantee you that every man out there who is considering taking their own life felt worse in that moment than I did that morning, right? And it's kind of, or feels worse, I should say. And that's a reality check that makes you go, I should not be complaining about my mental state when I'm firstly lucky enough to be doing something as cool as this. And secondly, we should think about them instead of, whinging about missing my wife, who I'll see soon,
You brought up Vogue a couple of times there. I think you've obviously been on the move quite a lot, as you've outlined in this interview. But have you had much time at all to sort of keep up to date with her on I'm a Celebrity?
Yeah. No, I've been. I've watched all the challenges. I'm quite friendly with the producer on the show, and although obviously he wouldn't risk his position by communicating to her on my behalf, I chat to him quite regularly on WhatsApp, just make sure that she's all right, and I keep track of her movements, and not that she goes very far, but I kind of know what she's up to and when she's doing it. He messages me when she's doing her morning workouts and whenever she's on a trial. I've seen her trials as well I've caught up with a couple of the episodes. It's quite difficult for us to be across it completely, just because there's we're quite busy ourselves. But all of her best moments so far, I've seen, and I feel that she took a day or two just to kind of get into stuff. I know her obviously about as well as anyone can, and I can see that she's a little bit out of her comfort zone. I think coming in a bit late, probably wasn't ideal for her. I think she would have probably liked to have been there from the start. She misses the children like intensely, and she, we miss each other a lot as well when we're not together. So this is going to be very difficult for her. Like no communication with the kids and me, but the kids in particular is hard for her. So that's why when I post about her and I call her brave and I'm proud of her and stuff, that's what I'm referring to. It's not so much the challenge of being in the jungle. It's more for her to be in that scenario where she can't communicate with her children and her family and me. And really being tested and pushed outside her comfort zone is very brave of her. So I'm a huge supporter, watching from afar. There's no doubt in my mind that she wins. I know that it's looking like Angry Ginge and H have the advantage currently, but she will shine bright as she always does, and she will come through as she always does. But there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that she wins.
Do you have a message for her if she's able to hear it on the show at all?
Just that I love her, as she knows, miss her like crazy, think about her all the time. She's the first person I think of when things get hard. And all of the songs that I listen to on the bike remind me of her. So it's weird. I listen to kind of like 90s American rock and roll, and there's all this kind of like, it's all quite like lovey stuff, like full on, like kind of, rock and roll ballads. And they just completely remind me of her. And I just can't wait to see her. So, I think keep doing what you're doing, stay cool, keep your eyes on the prize, you know what's what, and, have fun with it. Be yourself, be the bright shining star that everyone knows you are, or that I certainly know you are. And, can't wait to hold you. And by the way, if the stars align correctly, I'll be on the bridge for her in Australia. Wow. That's always been uncertain though, because obviously Project 7 was planned. Like we started planning this way back in February. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of, if you had a look at the plan of action, the document with the logistics that have gone into this, you'd be, take you a few hours to read it type thing. It's full on, ground teams all over the place. So many flights, contingencies if we miss stuff, contingencies if bikes go missing, whatever, just you get the picture. The I'm a Celeb job came obviously quite a lot later. But, it was agreed that obviously it's an incredible opportunity for Vogue to be in the jungle. So we made arrangements for both to be able to happen, but I couldn't move my commitments for Project 7 at all. Which is why we're both away at the same time, which is, unfortunate timing, obviously. But no, I think if everything goes according to plan, there is a chance that I can get out of Antarctica into Chile and then over to Australia in time to meet her on the bridge if she becomes a finalist. So I'm trying to make that work. It's obviously not a given. I could get stuck in Antarctica for 3-4 days because of weather. She could not be a finalist and come out early. There's loads of stuff that could happen. But there is a world where those two things align, and I head back over to Australia.
From, need to do a bit more flying, don't you?
From about the furthest point in the world from Australia. So yeah, but I'd be delighted to do that for her. I'd love to be there for her. I couldn't think of anything I would love more than to be stood at the end of that bridge, her coming out as a finalist or Queen of the Jungle even. And, for me to be there as a surprise for her would be, has always been the plan, but we've needed a plan B always from the start, just in case. Because obviously there's a few things that could happen that would mean that wasn't possible, but I really hope it happens. And that would just be like that moment. I've dreamt of it, like that moment of her coming over the bridge and like me being there to hug her and us just having the most like incredible catch up on our way back to London. It would be incredible. So I'm Rio out the park, which hopefully we should, and get down to Santiago and into Antarctica on time. And that's the problem, right? Because Antarctic weather means that, some days you just can't fly. So we're down in Santiago in Chile, basically waiting for the green light to get to Antarctica. If we can just go and if we can go and get the Ironman done in a timely manner and get out again, then all systems go, mate, to get me out to Australia.
Is there anything more important than your brain, body, immunity, and overall health? It's a good question. I personally don't think so. That's where Vitals by Heights comes in. It's 20 essential nutrients packed into 2 daily capsules. Think high-impact B vitamins, omega-3s, and vitamin D3, everything you need to feel alert, stay active, and keep up with life. No nonsense, no fillers, just proper fuel made by those who know exactly what they're doing. I used to be a bit of a skeptic about supplements, but I quickly realized that diet and exercise weren't enough to be at the top of my game. I needed backup for my brain and body, and Vitals quickly became a part of my daily routine, keeping me sharp, focused, and somewhat sane. Honestly, just give it a go and see what it can do for you. You've got nothing to lose and so much to gain. Get 20% off your first month subscription at heights.com/untapped or use code UT20 at checkout. I've always been competitive, but I realized recently that competing with your former self is a lot more useful than comparing yourself to anyone else. And Whoop has been an incredible tool for that. Since switching to the Whoop 5, I can now track how my training, sleep, and recovery are affecting me not just day to day, but over months. That's where HealthSpan comes in. It tells you your Whoop age, your true physiological age, and your pace of aging, showing if you're slowing down or speeding up biologically. It's all based on 9 rock-solid health metrics, from heart health to strength training to sleep quality. This is the stuff that actually changes how you approach your life. You can start today without spending a penny. Get a free Whoop 5, your first month free, and if it's not for you after 29 days, you get all of your money back. No risk, all reward. Just hit the link in the description.
Let's hope that's the case. Definitely
Yeah,
rooting for both you and Vogue there. You brought up Antarctica there, and it was going to be a question I was going to ask you, actually. You do have Rio to get through first, but with Antarctica, that sounds like the most difficult triathlon logistically. Maybe could you talk us through the logistics of it first, and then we can talk about the unique challenges that it actually, poses from an athletic standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, it's easily the biggest beast of the group. It's easily the hardest. The swim is a survival test. It's not a a leg of a triathlon. It's only 2 people in the world have ever swam that distance in Antarctic waters ever before. Very easy to come into complications if your kit isn't perfect, if your support crew is not perfect, if you are not perfect. Going into Antarctica with a negative mindset, you're done. You simply can't allow it. Can't happen. It will crush you if you go into it, unwilling, unready, not believing that you own it, will be a massive problem. So I've been mentally preparing for the Antarctic swim for months, for literally ages, because that is easily the most life-threatening situation that I will ever be in. And we're going to do what we can to obviously control what we can control and diminish the risk where possible. But at the end of the day, it's really dangerous, and that is, this could easily be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of preparation, other than doing an ice bath or something like that, and excuse my ignorance here, like how can you actually go about preparing for swimming in those sort of temperatures?
Well, in an ideal situation, you'd swim shorter distances in those temperatures, to build up to it. But I haven't had the ability to do that. So it has been a fair amount of ice bathing for me. Probably when you add it up, several hours of ice bathing, at 0 degrees. That's also just with, bare skin. So obviously I'll be protected by a wetsuit, not a dry suit. I'll be wearing something that there's some diving that goes on in Antarctica. I'm not entirely sure why, but I'm looking forward to understanding why people dive in Antarctica. But I'll be interested to hear why they, interested to learn more about that. But I'm basically going to be kitted out with something that scuba divers use in Antarctica. They're never exposed for that period of time. And obviously I'll be swimming, not, scuba diving. So that's probably the question that keeps me up the most, is what if the kit's not perfect? If any skin is exposed. So, I'll have a full, balaclava style neoprene hood and a full mask instead of small swim goggles. But for example, if your skin is exposed to 0 degree water for 90 minutes, I'm not entirely sure what it'll do to you, but it can't be good, right? It'll blister you, it'll burn you, it'll be a bit of a problem. So I'm just hoping that this kit is as good as it can be, that my mind is in the right place. I think, if you look at Cape Town as an example, the Roka Maverick X3 wetsuit that I've been wearing for all the triathlons isn't quite built for 9 degrees, right? I believe it's built for kind of 12, 13 degrees plus, something like that. So spending 90 minutes in that water in that wetsuit was problematic, and I think I wore a neoprene cap, but it wasn't a hood, so neck and face completely exposed for quite a long period of time. Completely lost my speech. You'll see when the film is made, like some of the footage that we got of that morning was I can only imagine quite frightening. I've not seen the footage, but like I remember getting out of the water and I remember speaking to camera, and it was, completely, you couldn't understand a word I was saying, lost all my motor skills. Like it was problematic, right? Like if you couldn't warm yourself up, I had a warm shower. I was stood in it for about 40 minutes. And that feeling, if I got out the shower even for a second, it was like, so straight back in the shower, like, you're freezing, hypothermic type thing. So this is 10 degrees colder than that, right? So relying almost completely on the kit, right? And I've not tried the kit. I don't know what the kit is. So obviously I'm sat there thinking, I wouldn't mind at least knowing what the kit is, so I can maybe Google it and have a look at it. I don't even know, right? I'm going to land, they're going to give me a wetsuit, and they're going to say, go. And I'm going to say, let's do this. But, if for whatever reason you lose mobility in your arm in the first, 10, 20 minutes, you're basically swimming with one arm. And then if you lose mobility in your legs, you're basically, that happened in Cape Town, right? I lost sensation I didn't have gloves or boots, so I lost sensation in my hands and my feet. Couldn't feel my hands or my feet, couldn't make a palm. So I was like, swimming badly, basically. And then lost sensation in both arms and both legs by the end of it. If I had another K to swim, I would have been in all kinds of trouble. Do you know what I mean? So it was, let's just hope for the best in Antarctica, I suppose. I think when I tick that off, there's going to be a pretty significant celebration. That's gonna feel
sure.
like, 6 down, hardest, most life-threatening thing down. Just a bike and a run. And by the way, by just a bike, I could spend 20 hours on the bike. Like the bike is not going to be fun at all. Big fat bike, not fast at all. Cycling over ice and snow is going to take ages. I'm going to have to break it into, 18, 10-kilometer sets or something like that, and it could be a long old thing, and then the marathon. But I think by that stage, having survived the swim, you'll feel this is the last time I have to sit on a bicycle for a really long time. I'll probably only crack my bike out in London, next summer. There's not going to be any cycling after this for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see, mate. It's kind of unbearingly close as well. It's like, it's just around the corner. So all of this fun banter that I was having early in the year, like, oh yeah, I'm going to do an Ironman in Antarctica. It's going to be so much fun. Like, it's going to be amazing. It's kind of like, shit, that's in a few days.
Yeah.
So, it's no turning back anyway.
Hopefully, having talked to Forrest Galante, at least we can take leopard seals sort of off the list of potential concerns.
Well, that conversation was welcome. It certainly hasn't removed them as a potential concern. I would say that I'm very concerned about the leopard seals. I mean, I trust Forrest, and I think that's a great episode. If you've not listened to it, you should go back and listen to it. But I don't know, mate. Leopard seals are predatory animals, are big, heavy things that swim in that area. If for whatever reason it felt like having a pop at you, I can't imagine there's much you'll be able to do to stop it, So I think the data suggests that, a leopard seal attack on a human being is rare, but so is swimming in that area. So, we didn't get stuck into that too much with Forrest, but he was like, well, leopard seals don't kill many people. They have in the past. And then all you have to think is, well, many people don't go swimming where the leopard seals are, do they? So, it's kind of, maybe it's 50% of people, who swim in that area have been killed. Maybe it's less. You wouldn't know.
You mentioned, obviously, the run and the cycle. Have you got a track sorted, or is it the sort of thing that you've got to assess it once you get there, the bits that you're actually going to be running through? Or cycling through?
We have got a pre-approved plan that has been sorted. But if you look at, Anders Hoffman's Project Iceman, he had to change location halfway through because, the area that they had anticipated would be the best area just wasn't in the end. So I think that there will be, there's a chance that we chop and change as things progress, but hopefully not. I trust Chris Taylor and his opinion and the team on the ground there. we are coming at this in a pretty organized manner. So I am expecting it to be probably a bit more straightforward than Anders's experience. But, needless to say, it's going to be pretty hard.
We haven't really touched on Rio de Janeiro that much, probably because Antarctica, and quite rightly, is front and center of the mind. Are there any sort of concerns of yours sort of going into Rio tomorrow?
I mean, if I'm honest, I don't really feel like doing another triathlon tomorrow. But no, we'll try and have fun where we can. This idea of I'll try and preserve energy and I'll do it well and I'll enjoy myself. It is a pipe dream. Like these things aren't fun. They're long, they're grueling, they're hard, they're painful. They're not in any way amusing or entertaining or fun. I think I said this to you before. You can go out and you can run a marathon, you can enjoy yourself. It's very difficult to enjoy yourself throughout this process. Obviously, you can make the experience better by being super positive, by being loud, by hugging your pals, by enjoying it, by putting on almost a mask of let's get this done. And in many ways, we have successfully done that several times now. But no, I'll be in this pain chamber or whatever people call it for hours on end tomorrow, like every other time. And I'll do my best to be positive and pull through it. Nothing's going to get in the way of me getting to Antarctica. Even if I broke my leg, I will carry on. It'll be much harder doing all of this on one leg, but that's just the way it would be. So nothing, no negativity currently heading into Rio. Rio's a pretty awesome place. We're down in Copacabana at the moment. I can literally see where the swim's going to be tomorrow. I'll try and enjoy that. The swim is probably the most, aside from Cape Town, obviously, the most enjoyable part of the day. It's relaxing. You're not thumping music into your head. It's quite a, it's starting the thing with intent, but it's this nice moment you get to have on your own almost, right? Because obviously we're supported, but I'm not actually physically swimming with anyone else. It's just you in the sea. You can quite clearly just think about things. And also I'm trying not to overthink, the Ironman itself. It's already, a good beast to contend with. I don't need to worry about all the things that could happen. I try to just live in the moment that I'm in. So, and literally it, the swim will be the swim, the bike will be the bike, the run will be the run. There'll be separate things, separate experiences. There's quite a lot of this that I already can't remember. Like Chris was talking to me earlier about Arizona, and I was like trying to remember the hotel room in Arizona. Couldn't remember it. The fact that we've been to 6 continents in the last, like a full world tour in the last few days, less than 2 weeks, is madness. Like it does not feel like I've been to Dubai, Australia, Africa, North America. Like it's weird. Like my mind hasn't even traveled to those places. I've literally landed, been so dialed in, hotel, like event, plane, hotel, event, plane, hotel, like I've not even noticed where we are.
Well done on everything so far, mate. Like it's a absolute hell of a challenge, all of this. And you're basically on the home stretch. There's 2 left. It might not feel like it, but you've got very far into it already. We're all rooting for you here. And wish you all the very best with it, mate.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, I think I got a message today from a friend who's the exec on the Psychopath film that we're doing, and she was like, only 2 left, all downhill from here, and I was like, no. And she was like, that's a nice way of thinking about it. But no, so tomorrow, I think tomorrow is the nice way of thinking about tomorrow is it's the last of the 6. Like it's the last one of the 6 normal ones, I suppose. And then Antarctica is its whole, it has its own identity, it's its own challenge. So that's cool in a way. Tomorrow we get to close the book, all being well, on, the 6 normal Ironmen. And then, there's just one thing to focus on then. And then in Antarctica, every step is the last. Every stroke is the last stroke of that distance, and you close out the swim all being well, that's done then. No more swimming, and then you're cycling through the snow and, every kilometer that you tick off, that's the last time I'm going to have to do this, in this whole challenge. So that's nice. You're like, you are on the home stretch in Antarctica, even though it'll easily be the roughest. Thanks so much for listening and following along the journey. If you haven't caught up with everything Project 7, there's a couple of episodes prior to this one. And if you're new to the show, obviously head back and listen to everything we've ever done. See you soon. Lots of love.